Okay, hello to anyone doing this recording. I hope you enjoy. Remember, don't do anything that causes pain. Feel free to modify or skip things as much as you need. If you are using the playlist, you can go ahead and pull that up on your device. I'm pulling it up on mine. I will tell you when to hit play. It is the playlist called HIIT 3. So can go ahead and hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. Got to turn down my volume a little. Okay, so you can go ahead and lie down on your back if you're not busy dancing. Go ahead and lie on down. Let everything go. Take a moment just to breathe. Take a deep inhale in. And exhale everything out. Go ahead and hug your knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a nice squeeze, maybe rocking from side to side. And then come back to stillness, still holding onto your shins or behind your thighs, and let your head gently turn over towards your right shoulder. And gently towards your left shoulder. You can go back and forth a couple times, getting a little neck stretch in. And then when you're even on both sides, come back to center. Bring your feet and your hands up toward the ceiling and go ahead and circle your wrists and ankles going outwards a few times. And then you can circle inwards. And then go ahead and let that go. We're going to make our way up to our hands and knees. So you can either rock up on your spine or you can come down onto your side. Then go ahead and set up in tabletop. And we'll do some cat-cow. So inhaling to arch your spine. Exhaling to round your spine. Taking a few rounds, moving at your own pace. Just realized I have to turn down this volume a little bit more. It's a little bit too loud. Blasting this lovely jazz. And then the next time that you finish rounding your spine, then we'll come back to neutral. And then walk each of your hands forward, one handprint, tuck your toes under, lifting your hips for downward dog. And if you'd like, you can pedal out your feet in this first downward dog, stretching out your calves. Try to still press into all 10 fingers. And then come back to stillness. Think about lifting your sitting bones up even higher. Ooh, perfect timing. When you're ready, we are going to pull forward into a plank. Couple different options. You can keep your knees lifted. You can bring your knees down, or if your wrists are bothering you, you can come into a forearm plank, either knees lifted or knees down. Wherever you are, try to keep your core active. Think about reaching out long with the crown of your head. Try not to let your hips either sink down or pike way up. Taking a couple more breaths in your plank. Nice job. And then go ahead and use your core to lift your hips back into downward dog. You can readjust your feet and then bend your knees and walk your feet all the way forward to meet your hands. When you get there, you can bend your knees even more and either walk your hands up your legs or roll on up. Going to do a little bit of a different warm up now. You can stand with your feet hip distance apart. And then we're going to just swing our arms going backwards in space. You can make this as big or as fast as you want. Just being mindful of your shoulders. Swinging your arms keeps the heart rate up. And then you can reverse, circling forwards. Nice. And then we'll let that go. We're going to meet at the back of our mats and do that push-up warm-up, but in reverse. So you can start by reaching your arms straight up toward the ceiling and then dive on down, walk your hands out in front of you, setting up for a push-up either with knees up or knees down. Do a quality push-up, and then walk your hands back towards your feet, rolling on up, reaching for the sky. We'll do that 4 more times. So diving back down, walking your hands out, doing a great push-up, knees up or knees down. Walk your hands back, stretching up tall. Nice. Walk your hands out in front of you. Push-up number 3. Getting stronger by the moment. Walk your hands back, roll on up, and dive back down. Push-up number 4. Trying to keep your core active. Walking back, reach on up, and dive back down for push-up number 5. One last one. And then walk your hands all the way back to your feet. Roll on up one more time. And we are done with the warm-up. Less torturous, right? That was my goal. So our first set of squats, if you want to use your weights or your soup cans, you can grab those. Our first set of squats is going to be feet hip distance apart. We're going to do full range of motion with a bicep curl, trying to keep your weight in your heels. And then our second set, you can either keep your hands at your hips. We're going to come down and pulse, or you can also bring your arms out to your sides and pulse. So we are going to do 3 sets of those, 30-second set with 10-second break in between. Get ready with your feet hip distance apart and go. So coming down into your squat, keeping your weight in your heels. Try to really keep your spine long, so not rounding your spine forward. See if you can even kind of lift your toes up a little bit to test that your weight's in your heels. Nice. If you're doing that bicep, well, you can do the bicep curl even if you don't have weights or soup cans. Trying to move mindfully. Nice. And change. Can let that go. Maybe shake it out. We're going to set up for our pulse. So feet hip distance apart. Maybe your hands come to your hips and come down and pulse. If you want, you can bring your arms up to shoulder height. Remembering to breathe. Nice. Make sure your knees are tracking straight over the middle of your toes. The squat can be smaller if that's better for your knees. Nice. Yeah, it's really intense to keep the arms out. And change. Let that go. Shake it out. Set 1 of 3. Getting ready for our squats with our bicep curls and go. If you'd like, you can inhale as you come down, exhale as you come up. You can think about bracing your abs a little bit when you come up. Maybe even squeezing your glutes a little bit. Nice. Try to really squeeze your bicep. Still making sure your knees are tracking straight over your toes. And change. Getting ready for our pulse. Maybe you want to do same hands as before, maybe different hands. Go ahead and come down and pulse. So maybe your hands are on your hips. Maybe they're out to your sides. Can do that toe lift again just to test, is your weight really in your heels? Kind of imagining you're sitting in that invisible chair. Nice. My quads are burning. It's possible I haven't done a HIIT since our last Spondy Strong HIIT class because I had COVID change. I was traveling. I can't even remember the last time I did it. So yeah, getting ready for full range of motion and go. Nice. This is set 3 of 3. Last time you have to do this kind of squat. My teacher always says, make it your best, which I feel like is a nice goal, but I don't know if that's always realistic. Your last set may not be able to be your best, but I guess we can try to not make it our worst or something and change. shake it out, getting ready for our last set of pulses. And go. So come down into your squat and pulse. Still keeping your spine nice and long. Still keeping the weight in your heels. Remembering to breathe. Nice. Yep. Quads burning. Whew. Okay, I'm going to do this just a little bit more. Arms out. Trying to push myself a little. Nice. And change. You can put your weights to the side if you're using them. You're welcome for including this beautiful song, Sandstorm, which is very silly in my opinion. Okay, cardio. We are going to do rotating jumping jacks with the option to step or jump. And then I'll show you the next one. So for the jumping jack, you're going to turn 90 degrees each time, swinging your arms. You can either step your feet out. If you really want to jump, you can jump, but stepping out is just fine. And then our second set, we are going to do a knee to elbow thing, which you can either do from tabletop, bringing each knee to each elbow, trying to really keep your torso stable, or you can also do this from forearm plank, trying to bring your knee to your elbow. Either option is fine. Your knee's probably not going to actually touch your elbow, but just coming as close as you can. The first one might not look like much, but it is. You really feel it in your abs. So get ready for our jumping jacks. We are going to do 20-second set, 10 set in between, 4 sets. All right, ready and go. So you're stepping out or maybe jumping out, rotating 90 degrees each time, trying to keep your spine long, swinging your arms. Sometimes it's surprisingly hard to make sure you're rotating 90 degrees. Sometimes I feel like I'm rotating whatever a fifth of a circle is, and change. Okay, come on down. Get ready for whatever version of knee to elbow you're gonna do. And go. So maybe you're in tabletop, bringing each knee to each elbow. If you are, try to really keep everything as still as you can. You're gonna feel this in your abs. Or maybe you're doing this in a forearm plank. In that case, you have to bring your knee a little more out to the side so that it's not hitting the floor. Try to keep your hips lifted and change. Come on up. Getting ready for our jumping jacks. Maybe you want to rotate the other way this time just for fun. And go. Either stepping it out or jumping. Fun fact that when I lived in a house with a bunch of people after college, someone gave me the nickname Sandstorm. And so this song was kind of like my theme song, which is funny because, you know, it would change. All right, come on down. Getting ready for knees to elbow. Maybe you start with the opposite knee this time if you can remember which knee, and go. Trying to keep everything as still as you can. Feeling that crunch in the abs. If you're in your forearm plank, try to really keep your hips level. Don't let them sink or pike way up. Remembering to breathe. You can also do this faster than I'm doing it if you want to, and change. Come on up. We are halfway through. I'm going to jump this set of jumping jacks just for funsies, and go. So maybe you're stepping, maybe you're jumping, maybe you're doing 90 degrees each time, maybe you're dividing your circle into some weird increment. That's fine. Nice job. If you are jumping, try to jump mindfully and change. Whew. Okay. Coming on down. Getting ready for knees to elbows, and go. Try to keep just as good of form as you had in the beginning. If you're on your hands and knees, keeping everything as stable as you can. If you're in your forearm plank, keeping your hips right in that level plane, and change. Alrighty, come on up. Last set of jumping jacks, and go. Maybe you're stepping it out. Maybe you're jumping it out. Maybe you're having trouble keeping track of how many degrees are in a circle. Nice. Swinging those arms, keeping the heart rate up, and change. Last set of knees to elbows. Your choice, elbow plank or hands and knees, and go. Just a little bit longer. You're doing great. Trying to keep your hips where they are. Trying to keep your torso still. Almost there. And change. Whew. Come on up. If you need a sip of water, oops, or whatever beverage you have. I don't know what I did with my timer. Stop. Sorry. Okay. Next set, we are going to do a roundhouse kick. So you're going to have your feet out wide. You're going to circle your knee up and across your body. You can either do this staying standing like this, or you can come into a squat in between each time, as long as that's okay for your knees. So maybe squatting or maybe keeping your legs standing. And then second set, we are going to squeeze our feet and legs together, come into a squat, then come up onto our toes, and we're going to lift and lower our heels. If this is too much on your knees, you can also keep your legs straight and just do heel lifts. That's going to be a big calf exercise. So 2 different options. We are going to do 30 seconds each, 10-second break, 2 sets. So go ahead and set on up with your feet wide for our roundhouse kick, and go. So you're bending your knee, swing it up across your body, maybe staying up like this, or if you want to add that squat, you can squat, but try to really make it mindful and careful, not using, not just letting everything flop down. Nice. Trying to keep your knee tracking over your toes, keeping your spine long. Nice, and change. Can go ahead and bring your feet all the way together. I just turned to the side so you can kind of see how tall my spine is, but you can be however you want. Bend your knees, come up onto the balls of your feet, and then lift and lower your heels, trying to keep everything as still as you can. If this is feeling like too much on your knees, you can lift and lower your heels with your legs straight. It's going to be tricky on the balance. Nice. You can think about keeping your legs glued together. That can help with the balance a little bit. Nice. Whew, and change, shake it out. I'm feeling that in the quads. All right, feet out wide, ready for roundhouse kicks. Maybe start with the other knee if you remember, not a big deal. Maybe legs are staying straight. Well, not the whole time, you know what I mean. Maybe you're squatting. Nice. Maybe you're thinking about roundhouse kicking something that makes you angry. We're not really roundhouse kicking, but you know, kind of that idea. Nice. Woo. And change. Setting up for our legs together. Last set of this one. Whew. And bend your knees, lift your heels and lower. Or maybe you're straightening your legs. And anytime if I'm giving multiple options, if you try one at first, it's fine. Maybe later you want to do the other one. You don't always have to stick to the same version for everything. Almost there. Whew. Keep your spine long and change. All right. Our next set is cardio. You can grab water anytime you need in between. This one is going to be high knees with alternating arms. So the knees are just lifting up to whatever height feels okay. And then the arms are going to be, both arms go up and then both arms go out. So up
and then out. So that's our first set. And then the second set is just going to be switching which knee is going up first, so that it'll be other knee up, other knee out. We are going to do just one set of those, 20 seconds each. Get ready and begin. So high knee with arms up, high knee with arms out, trying to keep your spine long. You can do this faster if you want. Don't have to. Nice. We are only doing one set of each, so maybe faster is doable. And change. Over already. Now we're just going to do the other side. Whew. Okay, and go. So opposite knee, arms up, and opposite knee, arms out. Hopefully you remember which one you started with. It doesn't really matter. We're still doing the same amount of total things on each side pretty much. Keep your spine long. Maybe you pick up the pace, maybe not. And change, shake it out. We are on the second page. Woo! Okay, we're gonna come down for glute bridges. So if you wanna grab some water, you can. And if you want to use weights in your second set of glute bridges, you can have your weights handy. I have a hair in my mouth now. Sorry. So you can come on down to your back, bring your feet hip distance apart, toes and knees pointing straight forward. Actually, you can watch first. I'm going to show you our sets. First set is going to be just full range of motion, lift and lower, nothing fancy. Second set, we're going to keep our hips lifted and lift and lower our heels. And then third set, we're going to keep our heels lifted and we're going to pulse, trying to make the pulse come from the activation of the glutes. We're going to do all those three same things again with the option to use your weights if you want, and you can use them in two different ways. You can either be holding them on your hips, so there's a little bit more weight for you to lift and lower. You can also hold them straight up toward the ceiling, or you can try to do a coordination thing and do a chest press, which I find a little hard to time it correctly, but it doesn't really matter how you time it. So go ahead and set on up. Feet hip width apart, and begin. Full range of motion, lifting and lowering your hips up toward the ceiling. This isn't quite like a yoga bridge, so you're not like trying to majorly arch your spine, aiming more for like one long line from your knees to your shoulders. And remembering to breathe. And then go ahead and keep your hips lifted. And now lift and lower your heels. Trying to keep your hips just as high as they were. Getting some calf exercises in. And now keep your hips lifted, keep your heels lifted, and pulse. See if you can make the pulse come from the activation of your glutes. It's a little bit subtle, but it's a little bit different from just trying to like fling your hips up and down. Not that we're flinging anything, but yeah. Almost there. And then you can lower all the way back down, taking a moment to rest. We're going to do each of those sets again. So if you want to add your weights, you can find them. And we're going to do full range of motion. Ready, go. So lifting and lowering. I'm trying, oops, I'm lifting my heels because I can't do two things at once. Just lifting the hips. Okay, I'm lifting the weights at the same rate. But you can do whatever you want. You can keep your arms lifted, or maybe your hands are on the floor. Remembering to breathe. And now keep your hips lifted and lift and lower your heels. This one is harder because your heels are going up and down faster than your arms probably are. Try to keep your hips nice and high, not letting them sink down when you're paying attention to your heels and maybe your arms. And then keep your hips lifted, keep your heels lifted, and go ahead and pulse your hips. This is our last set of glute bridges, almost there. We're gonna have the strongest glutes ever. Almost done. And you can slowly lower all the way down. If you used your weights, put them off to the side. You can hug your knees in towards your chest for a moment. And then we are gonna come back up to our feet. I think, yes, back up to our feet for one quick round of upper body. So if you're using weights or soup cans, you can grab those. And we are gonna stand with our feet hip distance apart. The arm pattern is gonna be to bring your arms out in front of you, cross, 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 and then pull in. And then see if you can cross the opposite one on top first, cross, 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 and then pull in. And as always, if you're not using weights or soup cans, totally fine. Just try to keep your arm muscles activated. We are gonna do however many of those seems reasonable. So go ahead and bring your arms out in front of you and cross, 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 pull in, cross, 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 pull in. Try to keep your abs braced, letting only your arms move. We're just gonna do a few more sets of these, trying to keep your spine long. Nice. Cross, 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 pull in, cross, 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 pull in. One more. Cross, 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 pull in. Nice. You can put your weights off to the side. We are gonna do something on our belly next, so you can grab a sip of water. We are gonna come down onto our bellies, and I will show you what we're gonna do first. We are gonna start with our legs out behind you, arms are out in front. First set is gonna be right arm, left leg, full range of motion, lift and lower. Your head comes along for the ride. You don't have to like crank your neck forward. Second set will be left arm, right leg, full range of motion. After that, we're gonna come into our forearm plank, which you can either do with your knees lifted or your knees down on the floor. And then for our second set of forearm plank, if it feels okay, you can try to lift and lower your knees, or maybe you stay in your knees down forearm plank or whatever other thing you wanna do. And then our second set of prone, I'll show after because we're not gonna remember. So I can go ahead and set up for our first set of prone. We're gonna do 30 seconds each, 10-second break. Arms straight out in front of you and go. So lifting your right arm, left leg, full range of motion. Imagining that you're being stretched from fingertips to toes. Letting your head just come along for the ride, lifting and lowering. And remembering to breathe. Sorry if you can hear my congestion. Almost there. And change. You can let your forehead come down. Take a moment to rest. We're gonna do our other side. And go. So lifting left arm, right leg, full range of motion. Stretching out long. Can always make these a little bit smaller if that feels better for your back. Even just doing a tiny motion like this. It's a great back strengthener. Remembering to breathe. Almost there. And change. Okay, we're gonna come into our forearm plank. So your choice, knees up or down. Have your arms parallel, pressing into your palms and keeping your body in one long line. Activating your abs. We'll be here for approximately 20 seconds if I can count that accurately. Maybe your knees are down. Think about reaching out long through the crown of your head. If your knees are lifted, you're thinking of reaching back through your heels. Nice job. And then if you want, you can begin to lift and lower your knees. If that feels like way too much, you can bring your knees down, trying to hold your forearm plank a little longer. Remembering to breathe. Maybe lifting and lowering your knees. And then you can lower your knees down, lower your whole self back down, let your forehead come down. If you'd like, you can shake your hips from side to side. And then we are going to do our second set of prone. Our first set, we are going to bend our knees and bring our feet together. You can kind of do like frog feet if you want, like squeezing your heels together, or you can just have your feet touching. Arms are going to come into a cactus shape, and then you're going to lift and lower your arms and your legs. It might not feel like you can lift your knees up very much. That's fine. You're just kind of trying to lift up as much as you can. And then our second set, we're going to bring our feet as wide as our mat. Forehead can come down onto your palms. And then we're going to lift just our legs, trying to keep our legs straight and pointing our toes. We're going to do 30 seconds each, 10-second break in between, so you can set on up with your knees bent, feet touching each other, arms in cactus. And go. So lifting your arms and your knees. Maybe your knees aren't coming up very far at all. That's okay. Just coming up as far as feels okay for your body. Feeling that activation of the back muscles. Maybe you feel it in your glutes. Nice job. Almost there, and change. You can let your feet come down. Set your feet up as wide as your mat. You can bring your forehead to your palms. And go. We're lifting and lowering just our legs, trying to keep your legs straight, pointing your toes, stretching your toes out to opposite ends of your mat. And again, only going up as high as feels okay for your low back. Maybe you're just coming up a little bit. Almost there. And change. You can let that go. And then you can go ahead and bring your palms under your shoulders so you can press yourself up to your hands and knees. Let's come to a tabletop for a moment and just do a little side to side cat-cow, just to kind of even out our spine. Bringing one hip and one shoulder together. You can go back and forth a couple of times. And then when you're even on both sides, you can go ahead and grab your blanket, and I will show you this crazy thing we're doing with a blanket today. This is an exercise called Ab Mama that I learned in Pilates. Oh, wow, it's almost 9 already. We're behind schedule. It's gonna go a little over, sorry. So take your blanket and unfold it so it's pretty big, kind of like this. Put it on the floor. And then you're gonna roll it up so you have a pretty long, thin roll. Just making sure my clock is accurate. Yep, time flies. So once you have your long roll, then you're gonna fold your long roll in half. So you have this sort of double roll thing. I think that looks good. Yeah, nice, perfect. And then you are gonna come down onto your back and hug your thighs around this roll. And you can kind of bring it as close into your body as you feel comfortable so that you can really squeeze the blanket with your inner thighs. And then once you are set up with your blanket, you can bring your feet straight up toward the ceiling. You might have to kind of adjust your blanket so it has room. Then you're gonna think of really squeezing your thighs together. So you're squeezing that blanket, bring your hands up toward the ceiling, and then use your abs to lift your torso up so your fingers are reaching up toward the ceiling. Meanwhile, still squeezing the blanket with your legs, and you're trying to let this ab lift really come from your abs so you're not just like using your neck, but using your abs to reach up toward the ceiling. We're gonna hold this for a little longer, squeezing your blanket with your inner thighs. Nice. And then you can slowly, with control, let that go. Let your feet come down. Take a moment to rest. You can leave the blanket there. We're going to use it again in one moment. And then when you're ready, we will do a similar thing one more time. So you can go ahead and straighten your legs, feet come up toward the ceiling. They don't have to be all the way straight. Squeeze your blanket with your legs. This time, reach your fingertips out in front of you on either side of your legs, and then reach forward. So it's as if you're kind of bringing your sternum towards your blanket, still squeezing the blanket with your thighs, trying to reach forward. Maybe your abs are shaking. We're gonna hold this for a little bit longer, nice. Remembering to breathe. And then you can slowly let that go. Let your feet come to the ground. You can move your blanket out of the way. And then if you'd like, you can hug your knees in towards your chest for a moment. I'm just gonna check my notes, see what we can do here. I say we skip side plank for today. Let's just do one more round of abs, and then we'll do stretching and we'll be done. We will just do one set of dead bug. So you can bring your knees up to a reverse tabletop position. So knees are right over your hips, not coming in towards your chest. Feet are gonna be in that reverse tabletop position. Your arms come up to the ceiling. And then as you straighten your right leg out in front of you, you're gonna reach your left hand back behind you, come back to center, then straighten your left leg as you reach your right arm back behind you, and then come back to center. We are just gonna do one quick 30-second set of those. Set yourself on up and go. So right leg stretches out long, left arm behind, back to center, right arm, left leg, back to center, still trying to keep your thighs perpendicular to the floor. And remembering to breathe. Almost done. Woo. Strongest abs ever. And change. Can let that go. Hug your knees in. Maybe rock from side to side. Oh, gotta turn off the timer. I never seem to learn that with the time we spend chatting at the beginning, I need to have a shorter playlist that becomes relaxing more quickly. But I hope you like Rocky Horror Picture Show. Go ahead and hug your knees in nice and tight, giving yourself a good squeeze. And then you can stretch your left leg out long in front of you, squeezing your right knee in for a moment. If it feels good, you can kind of let your knee come out wide a little more. Think of all the work you did today. Think of how much stronger you are. And then you can let your right knee come back in. Hug your left knee into your chest, set your right leg out in front of you. Squeezing your knee in, maybe letting it come out to the side a little. And then you can hug both knees back into your chest and send both of your feet up toward the ceiling for happy baby, holding your outer lower legs or outer edges of your feet. Gently pressing your feet upwards as you pull down with your hands, maybe rocking from side to side. Maybe bringing a smile to your face. This song just makes me laugh. And then you can let that go. We're gonna make our way up to a seat. So however you wanna get there, maybe rocking up on your spine or coming down onto your side, sitting cross-legged for a moment. And then go ahead and do some big half circles with your neck, letting your chin come down towards your chest. Taking your time to bring each ear to each shoulder. I really hoped we'd have a more relaxing song by now. I'm sorry. Take a moment just to even yourself out. Maybe let your head hang in the center. And then coming back up to center. Bring your fingertips out to the side. Sweep your arms up toward the ceiling, giving yourself a big high five. Giving yourself Congratulations for all the hard work you did today. I'm going to stop the recording.